I think that a culture of vulnerability is important within a community because we're all going to have questions. We're all going to be challenged in different ways of how we approach the scriptures in relationship with Jesus. And I think that that goes with mental health. Hey guys, we want to welcome you back to Connect Church Clearwater Podcast. I'm here with Pastor Jeff. I'm Pastor Matt. Most of you probably know us, but if you're new, just joining us, wanted to introduce ourselves quickly. And I got some fun icebreaker questions for you today. We did a couple last time.
This could be dangerous.
When we recorded. It could be. So here we go. What old person things do you do?
What old person things do you do? Well, if you ask my kids, they tease me because I'm on my 100th pair of these New Balance shoes that I wear, and I just bought a new pair, and they're like, "Wow, Dad bought a different pair of shoes." But literally, me and like Kevin Shepard and Gary Lehman, we've all been wearing these for at least 30 years or longer. So how about that?
So
I'll be honest.
That definitely fits.
I'm like, hey, we love them. They fit
the
great.
criteria.
If it ain't broke, why fix it? I love these shoes, and I'm sorry, y'all. They call me Boomer.
I was gonna say,
they do. They all call me Boomer instead of Dad. Funny. They'll go, "Hey, Boomer."
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's good. How long would you last in a zombie apocalypse?
You mean like what you see on TV?
Yeah, if there was a zombie apocalypse.
I think I would do pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because when you watch those TV shows, I'm like, "You dummy, don't go that way. Go this way. What's wrong with you? Don't you know?" Yeah. So I mean, I think my survival skills are pretty good.
Yeah, I watched those different shows like Alone and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, I could do 1,000 days alone.
Yeah, I haven't watched The Walking.
Easy to say though from the lazy boy chair in the living room.
I know.
Right?
But I just want to say I haven't watched like The Walking Dead in years because for me it went on way too long. They should have resolved the issue and gone on and started a new series. So I quit watching it a long time ago.
I'm good for something that's maybe 1 or 2 seasons. After that, it's like, it's just too much. All right, who's your favorite cartoon character?
Oh gosh, probably my favorite thing in the world was to watch the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour.
Bugs Bunny Roadrunner.
And Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Yosemite Sam, the cat, Sylvester the cat, and his son. Yep. And probably the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour is like my biggest thing.
All right, and then. What's your favorite song from your teenage years?
Oh, wow.
Got a lot.
It would probably be a Bee Gees song.
Bee Gees.
Because when I was a teenager, when I'm saying today, I don't know why, but Saturday Night Fever, the movie, was out. Yep. So the whole John Travolta, the whole disco scene, was disco all through high school.
Did you wear bell bottoms?
Your Honor, I refuse to answer on the grounds that it may incriminate me.
Did you have long, shaggy hair and sideburns? And
not the sideburns, but I had long, like my hair was like down to here.
Really?
Oh yeah, I got pictures.
We want to see pictures.
I was really cute. My wife said.
Yeah.
With my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should grow it back out.
Well, there's a few old timers around that we know have long hair.
Yeah.
But I had pretty long hair.
Awesome. All right. Good job.
Good icebreakers.
Those are good.
Yeah. I'm always worried about the icebreaker questions.
Yeah. So we've been in this series, Out of the Cave.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I just think it's been really good, not only for us, the pastors, me, you, and Ken that we're sharing it, but the testimonies that we've been hearing from the congregation has just been great.
It's what the feedback. And at the end of this series, we're going to do something. Not unique, but something maybe we don't always do in every series, which is we're going to kind of do a Q&A
with our wives.
Yeah, at the end with some people that have experienced depression and mental illness and stuff like that. And so it'd be fun. So I was thinking today, though, maybe we could just kind of either recap or readdress some of the things we've already discussed, maybe so we can go into more in depth than we would be able to on a Sunday morning, or just dialogue how we have throughout the series behind the scenes in front of our audience,
Right.
and just let them get into our minds of how we approach this subject, and even how as leaders, how we help people work through different things like that. So if you haven't, let me put a plug in. If you guys haven't, if you're on our YouTube channel already, you can go back. You can watch all the replays of Out of the Cave series. Pastor Jeff and Pastor Ken and I have all had different
We
times
probably had
where
like
we've taught into it.
probably 8.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
8 weeks
one of
in.
our longest series, but
it is
just really felt it was
such a
necessary.
yeah, deep discussion, and
Yeah.
and very relevant for
Right.
today.
And and it is very relevant, and that's why, sometimes in a series you might just go over something quickly and do 3 or 4 weeks, but this is a whole different story.
Totally.
Because this whole thing about out of the cave, depression, and most of we're using the story of Elijah when he went into the cave and hid from Jezebel and her henchmen after the greatest spiritual victory that he ever saw.
Yeah.
And but and because of the pandemic, and because of coronavirus, because of how the whole world has been under depression, because of all of that, there's no way that we really could do justice to not only the series and the Bible, but to our people who admittedly have been struggling. I mean, who hasn't, just about been struggling with all these things that we've been talking about with mental health issues.
Yeah. Well, over the past, I think, year and a half or 2 years, too, we've seen just leaders in the body of Christ committing suicide and finding out afterwards, like they suffered from mental illness or depression and stuff like that.
Right.
It never felt comfortable or safe enough to discuss it within the church community, and so
and to let their people know that they actually were human.
Yep.
And
That's
that
right.
they were struggling, and like I always say, hey, us pastors, we put our pants on just like you do.
That's right.
And we're just like you guys.
Yeah.
And
So
when
we're kind of
we preach to ourselves.
Pulling back the curtain on this thing to expose it within church community, to say, look, we all have issues, and this, because I think in church community, we've separated mental illness and set it to the side and used it as something like, if you just prayed more.
Yeah.
Is it right? Statements like that. If you just read your Bible more.
We call those dumb, pat answers.
Yes. Yeah. If you just have more faith.
Yeah.
Right? Stuff like that. And we don't say that about...
the anger's already welling up in me.
Yeah.
Because we've heard so many people do that.
I'm sure.
And it's so ungodly. It's
So
so wrong.
That was our motivation.
It's so
right?
hurtful. Right.
Yeah. And that was our motivation, really, to kind of just pull the curtain back on this thing and start the dialogue and topic.
And tell people, you know what, there's nothing wrong with you. And whoever told you that was wrong.
Yeah.
They should have never said that to you.
Yeah. And we've had just so many different people after a Sunday teaching just approach us throughout the week and say, I've suffered with depression. Thank you so much for going into this. So I guess, my first question for you would be this. Why do you think in Christian culture we've created this container where we don't want to address certain things like this, or we kind of shove it to the side and then put those pat answers on it, specifically with what we're doing with Out of the Cave?
Well, do you want me to be brutally honest?
Yes.
So I would say lack of knowledge on behalf of the leaders who have tried to, I don't want to add motivation, because you really don't know what's behind why people do things. Right. Except that I've been doing this for almost 40 years.
Time,
Yeah,
you've been around.
I've been around the block. And I would say lack of knowledge on the leader's part, and they give a pat answer because they don't know what to say. Yeah. And I hate to say this, but they are afraid to look dumb. Yeah. They're afraid to look stupid, and they want, a lot of times, and that's people I'm talking about, I say this all the time, there's a lot of pastors that have very low self-esteem, and they probably shouldn't be in the ministry, or they should be on a sabbatical and take time off until for their own, because they're insecurities, it comes out in so many ways,
That's good.
and it hurts people.
Yep.
So they don't want people to know what they don't know.
Yep.
They want everybody to love them. Everybody wants to be liked.
Yep.
They don't want to not have an answer for them. But I mean, just like we've had a couple of deaths this week. One death in our church, and a pastor that was raised in our church died. And so when we're always trying to explain to people why these things happen, and I was on the phone with one of our widows this week, and just said, I wish I could give you an answer why, but I can't. Yeah. And I don't know a pastor who can tell you why. Yeah. We just need to be honest. That's what I'm saying. That's and say, you know what? I don't know the answer, but I know the one that does have the answer.
That's good.
And that's true.
Yep.
And then they understand that, you know what? We're in the same boat as you. I'm having a hard time understanding why this happened to you also. Yep. I have a hard time understanding why what happens to me happens. But, we just learn to deal with it. And I think that's part of our role as leaders, spiritual leaders, is help people by not giving them pat answers, but by, walking through life with them hand in hand and saying, here, let me help you from my experience, or this is the way I see God's word. This is the way that I see it. Yeah. So.
Good. Yeah. I would add to that too. I think that we haven't done a good job as in the Christian community and leadership within churches of creating a culture of vulnerability where people feel safe to actually ask those questions. Because a lot of times, like you said, leaders will feel insecure, like they're being challenged in their knowledge, rather than creating a space to say, the same questions I have, and I think that a culture of vulnerability is important within a community, because we're all going to have questions. We're all going to be challenged in different ways of how we approach the scriptures in relationship with Jesus. And I think that goes with mental health. Like, I think that there hasn't been this safe place of vulnerability within a Christian community to say, you know what, I'm dealing with depression, and I've prayed, I've gone to the altar, right? Like the preacher, just bring it to the altar and lay it down, and then they're depressed Monday morning,
right?
Or just all the different things where.
And if we were honest, we would admit that's happened to us too.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say, I think there's almost a place where that individual can almost feel defeated. Like, I've done everything that's been taught to me to do.
Yeah, I give up.
Yeah, God doesn't see me.
Right.
He doesn't recognize this.
He doesn't hear me.
Right. And
then it ends up being,
Elijah kind of.
Then it ends up being like he's not real.
Yeah.
Without realizing it, that's basically what you're saying.
Yeah, because the enemy will take questions and twist them up into deception too. So,
right.
I've always said this as a leader: questions are good as long as they're asked from a place of humility.
That's good, yeah.
Not a place of judgment and criticism towards God, because when we do that, we actually stand in the shoes of the accuser.
Right. Right.
So
that's right.
So humility is a big part. But I don't think God's afraid of our questions.
No, he's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've been saying it for most of my ministry life. Nothing takes Jesus by surprise.
Yeah.
He already knew about it.
Yep.
20 years before it happened.
Yep.
He already knew about it.
Yeah.
And he's got the answer.
Yeah.
We just got to, trust him.
Yep.
Obey him.
So
walk with him.
What would you, as a pastor and the experience that you have, and I know that you've taught through this series many times over the years at the different churches.
Called it different names, but it's the same series, right?
Yep, same series, and probably.
See, that's being open and honest.
Yeah, and a fresh look at it.
Right,
sure,
every time we do it, we refresh our whole sermon
so
series.
What would you say to just a member that came to you and was like, look, I've done all this stuff and I'm still struggling with this? What would be some helpful advice other than, I don't get it either? What are some
things? So to be honest with you, I've always been, and I'm going to give you an illustration. Mm-hmm. So over the years, I've had people come to me with situations that I thought, this one's a little above my pay grade.
Sure.
And I've said to them, because that would be my first answer. Mm-hmm. If they've done all of the spiritual things, and they come to church, they read the Bible, they pray, they're trying to get to resolve some of these issues, and they're not getting any resolve or any headway, methinks the first thing I would say is, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. You know how when you go to the doctor and he notices there's something wrong whenever when in your physical, and he notices there's something wrong in your heartbeat, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to send you to a cardiologist because I'm not trained in cardiology, or and they'll always kick you up and say, this is this problem, this issue, a specialist, a little above my pay grade. I get irritated with the number of pastors who don't want to do that for the same reason, because they feel like they look small, or they look smart enough. But there needs to be a little honesty and say, you know what, I'm not a trained counselor.
You need a specialist.
You need a specialist. And I really feel it would do good for you if you would go and talk to a professional. I've even told people, there was a situation that happened in my life since I've been married to Kathy. And we had a situation happen in our family, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I talked to pastors and things, and finally, I forget who, but someone said, well, you need to talk to a counselor. And I
Christian
did.
Counselor.
Yeah, a Christian counselor. I only had one session with the counselor, and after that, I got what I needed. Because there was so much revelation and wisdom that was given to me that I never got other places.
That's good.
Because that's what they do. So a lot of times I tell people, you know what, this is above my pay grade. Maybe we should kick this thing up to the next level after I've done everything I know to do.
And that's their ministry. As a Christian counselor, they've been trained specifically in that area.
That's not what I went to college for. That's not what you went to college for.
To people in those areas.
Right, because it is a specialty.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we've already recognized through the series that there can be chemical depression, meaning it's as simple, or not as simple, but it's
like an imbalance.
A process of a chemical
problem in your body.
Physical condition,
a physical
So, and then we've also through this series addressed the spiritual side of that, which they can kind of flow back and forth. We talked about that in the series too, but and
also part of our humanity. Part of the fact that we're live in a broken world with a body that's not perfect, and you know what I'm saying. Our humanity also.
So we need to rip the stigma off. In Christian circles, that if you have to go see a Christian psychiatrist,
you don't want anybody to know,
counselor, right? That you're weird,
right?
Something's wrong with
Which
you.
is why I and my wife have publicly shared with people. And I think that has just liberated people, and they're like, wow, if Pastor Jeff and Kathy went and did it, and they're telling us about it, then you know what? It's okay. It's okay if I go too.
That's good. It's funny. I tell even couples, I'll ask them, have you been to marriage counseling? Well, no. We don't have any problems in our marriage. Well, good. You should still go to marriage counseling, because it's not about going when you have the problem. It's about going to get the tools so you can work through the problem.
I have told people all of my life as a pastor that going at least maybe at the least maybe every 5 years to go to a marriage conference. Totally. I mean, we had one here.
Right?
I said, because everybody needs a refresher course
that's good.
on being married.
That's really
and
good.
How to treat one another.
And so it's the same thing if you're struggling with internal issues and mental health and stuff like that. It'd be the same thing. You're going to get tools of how to manage that in your life.
Right.
With biblical principles for Christian counselors and stuff.
And just flat out good wisdom too.
Yeah, that's good. Something that I hear that's in leading people and experiencing people that are struggling with mental illness and different depression and stuff like that, is this, and maybe you can talk into this, is I've noticed a lot of people that are required to take a medication, or a medication would be helpful for them. Their next response after taking that medication for a little while is, well, I feel like I don't hear God anymore, or I just don't feel like myself. I don't know if you've heard that or not, and if you have, how would you encourage someone in that place?
I thought you were going to go in a different direction because of the number of people that have been on, like my wife, have been on medication for years, you know, in the very beginning, she was like, you know, I feel fine now. I feel good. I think I'm going to stop. And she did, and then she went right back into the hole.
That's kind of
she went right back into the cave.
About. Yeah.
And after a couple of times, she finally, you know, of course, her hubby is prodding her, going, no, I can, because I could tell when she didn't take her pills.
Yeah.
And I'd say, no, you're right back where you were.
Yeah.
You need to stay on it. And how many times have we met people that have mental health issues?
Yeah.
They might be, you know, panic attacks or bipolar or, you know, all those other things that we have run across as pastors that say, well, I was on it and I quit. And I'll go, yeah, we can tell. Yeah. So you need to get back on their pill. You're taking those pills for a reason.
I like what Pastor Ken mentioned actually this past Sunday when he was teaching into this. He said,
I fell asleep when he was preaching.
He said,
is this going to be live?
You can't fall asleep when he's preaching. There's too much passion there. So he said this. He said medication is part of the process, but it's not the final answer.
That's right.
God is the final answer.
That's right.
I really love how he put that because it's not wrong to take this medication.
No.
And what I've learned, as you know, you mentioned Kathy, and my wife takes medication for chemical depression and also anxiety, and she has felt, oh, I'm back to myself. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to trust God. He's going to heal me. And
been there, done that,
right? And the whole spiral down, and so what I found is the enemy will try to use that against the person to convince them they don't need it. Not everyone, but I do think that the enemy will come in and start whispering the lies, like, you don't need this medication. You can't be in touch with God with this. And the reality is our spirit is what communes with God.
Right.
You know.
Or even tell them what a failure you are because you are taking the medicine. What a spiritual failure you are.
Guilt and shame is a big part of it too.
Lie from the pit of hell.
Yeah. So for me, I've always encouraged people in that place to say things like this. Well, you wouldn't tell a diabetic not to take insulin. Right. Same thing, right? And
the story that I told in my sermon a few weeks ago, the guy that had his glasses on, and I asked him to hand me his glasses on and put them in my desk drawer, and said, "Here, I'll just keep these. I guess you won't need your glasses anymore. Physician, heal thyself," like he was trying to say to his wife. Right. And the light turned on, and you know, God gave me wisdom what to say to him about.
He was actually trying to shame his wife,
for taking
medication
for depression
that she didn't have.
But yet I said, but you're not ashamed to wear your corrective lenses.
That's good. It's really good.
That correct a physical problem in your eyes. Right. And when I did that, and I said, "You're a hypocrite," that's when the lights went on, and he realized, you know what?
That's good.
I said, "You're doing the same thing that she's going to do. It's just in a different area of your body."
Yep. I know a person who they actually wore glasses, and every night they would take their glasses off, set them on the nightstand when they went to bed, and they would just say, "God, I'd love it if you'd heal my eyes." So
I got no problem with that.
Anymore. Right? Same thing with you know, mental health and medication and stuff. You can take that medication every day and still say, "God, I'd love it if you just heal what's going on inside."
But until he does, take the medicine.
Yeah, that's right. So
let me just say,
I wanted to finish this. So this guy wakes up the next morning after several years of praying this, and he realizes, he puts his glasses on and everything's blurry, and he realizes his eyes got healed overnight while he was sleeping. Wow. Didn't need glasses anymore.
Wow.
So, meaning this, we follow the prescription, but we continue to believe God to heal us, and I think He'll let us know when that happens, you know. And so that's cool. Go ahead.
I was just laughing because last night I was over at PK and Laura's house, and they were helping me fill out some forms I needed to fill out, and I couldn't see, and here's another old person thing I'm doing. Are you ready? I bought 3 magnifying glasses.
Oh God!
I have one of them in the center console of my excursion, and one at home, and one in my bag my computer bag that I carry around, because my eyes are getting so bad that I have to use a magnifying glass to see.
So is that just you refusing to buy reading glasses, like in your mind?
No,
like, I'm
actually,
not there yet?
Actually, you know we have an ophthalmologist in the church, a retired ophthalmologist, and he's been bugging me now for a couple of weeks to come on in. And you know, I just have so many things going on right now personally in my life. I said, "Doc, I'm going to be there. I just need to settle a few things, and I'll make an appointment." I haven't been to an eye doctor in a couple of years, and anyway. I'm not too proud
Yeah,
to
that's
admit
good.
that. Yes, I'm going to be 63 in December, and yes, my eyes are starting to fail me.
Yeah. So, let me ask you this. I think we're doing an amazing job, and we can always improve as leaders and stuff. But as a leadership team here, of really creating a safe space, a culture of vulnerability, we're tackling the tough issues and stuff like that. In a broad sense, what do you think needs to happen within the body of Christ to really begin to rip these stigmas off, open up the dialogue, create these safe spaces? And I know that's kind of thinking outside of us.
Yeah,
but
well,
in a
the
larger
problem is
view.
it's been a long pattern of, I'll call it spiritual abuse
Yeah,
in the church, where they've
I
been
think
taught
that's a great
this
word for it.
and heard this,
Yeah.
and they've been preached this and told this, that we're basically having to relearn. I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but
Renew our minds.
yeah, renew our minds and people to understand. Like, I'm sorry, you were told this, but that ain't true. It's not biblical.
That's right.
And it's wrong. And
Yeah.
there's, let's just be honest. There's a lot of things that have come out of pulpits that
Yeah.
aren't exactly true,
Yeah.
that are our opinion, or,
Yeah.
not really thought out or followed through with,
Yeah.
to say things like
Yeah.
that. So really, we're trying to retrain.
Yep. Yeah. One of my prayers has been that God would start to raise up some leaders in the body of Christ that maybe would start to begin to maybe create some leadership conferences to address how do you approach and how do you minister into people that are suffering from depression and mental illness
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff like that. And
actually, it's not.
I would go.
It's not a bad
I would
idea.
go
I mean,
in
we've
heartbeat.
had marriage conferences, and we've brought special
Yeah.
people here for different kind of
Totally.
conferences,
Yeah.
and people dealing with problems with sexual orientation.
Yeah.
I did that when I first came here. I did it in New Hampshire. Had people that had problems with their sexual orientation in different areas and sexuality,
Yep.
and had a conference open to the community. And I mean, all those things
Awesome. Yeah.
are helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe one
I
day.
think that there's a lot of topics out there that a lot of this next generation has questions for, and I think they're looking for answers,
Yeah.
and they're willing to go wherever someone's willing to give them the answers. And I think it's time really that the church steps into those places and we start to give those answers that we can.
Yep.
And to be willing, just like you said in the beginning of this, and to be willing to say, I don't know, but let's explore
Right.
where we could find those answers through a Christian worldview and a biblical lens in that. And I think that we as leaders right now have a great, amazing opportunity to capture the next generation. It's just whether or not we're willing to put our insecurities away, deal with our own internal stuff, and begin to step into these places of questions and address it.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful.
If
that-
we don't, we're going to
Yeah.
lose that generation.
Yeah, I'm thankful that you've been just a senior pastor and a senior leader who you've talked through divorce and abortion and all these different topics, racism and stuff like that, and these are big things that we really need to step towards. And really, what I've noticed too is these topics have maybe at times been taught through one perspective, but it's time that we start to turn them and see other perspectives and speak into it too, and I feel like that's really what's happening in our world today is things have been turned for another perspective, which can be twisted, but it gives us an opportunity to just put the Christian worldview to that new perspective as well. So
We'll get there.
we are.
Yep.
We are. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for this series.
Yeah.
We're thankful for you guys.
Yes.
Just remember, if you are a part of Connect Community, that every Sunday we have a table in the back with these cards on it for you to submit questions to us. At the end of this series, we're going to do
the last Sunday of the month.
the last Sunday of the month. We're going to go live Sunday morning up on the stage
With our wives.
with our
We'll
wives,
let them
and
know who's going to be there.
And we're gonna try to navigate the questions that come in, and also dialogue a little bit with people that are experiencing that. Both of our wives.
And maybe if we're good pastors, we'll let our wives talk more than us.
We better.
Yeah.
We better. Hey, thanks for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Blessings.